It doesn't mean that we're going to see a whole flood of inventory, but it means that I think we're finally getting to a point to where agents are able to look at their business in a holistic way and really understand what's probably to come in the next 12 months, next 18 months, and really start strategically planning for it versus thinking, oh my goodness, what new changes are going to happen that I'm going to have to go ahead and fight off and be reactive. We can now be proactive.
Yeah. Today's guest started his real estate career while he was still in college. 2 decades later, he's seen this business from just about every angle. As an agent, a managing broker, and now coaching over 3,500 agents. Paul Blackburn has been with @Properties Christie's International Real Estate since 2010. Most recently, stepping into the role of EVP of Culture and Agent Development. In this episode, we talk about why 2026 could be the start of a new era in real estate, what agents should be doing to take advantage of it, and tactical ways to grow your business right now. Stick around for Rapid Fire, where Paul reveals the wildest things he's ever seen at sea and where to find the best martini in Chicago. Paul, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I'm so excited to have you here, and happy 2026.
Thank you. Happy 26. And I'm happy to be here. This is actually really, really cool. I've watched the podcast and now I'm finally here on it.
Yes. Well, I'm excited. We have a lot to talk about. Yeah. You've got a new role here at @Properties Christie's. So I'm excited to kind of dive into a lot of the things you're going to be thinking about as we are helping to support our agents and navigate a new year of real estate, right?
A new year.
Yeah. Well, before we get into that, I want you to be able to talk with our viewers and dive into what's in store for 2026, but I'd actually like to start a little bit with your story. Sure. Where are you from originally? And then how did you get into real estate and how'd you get here?
So originally from Chicago, born and raised in the city in the Southwest side, and started in real estate when I was in college. So I went to NIU, and this was during the period of everybody was rehabbing houses, right? Like HGTV was huge. So freshman in college, bought a house, rehabbed it, flipped it, and that was the start of it. Got my license shortly thereafter, and because like back then you can get it at 20 if you had 2 years of college experience. So got my license and graduated with a degree in finance during the market crash. 2009.
Yeah.
Everything was falling apart.
Yeah.
So definitely was not getting a job in finance. That was not happening at that time. So stuck with what I knew, and that was real estate. And became a broker in the city. And the rest was kind of history.
What was it about real estate though? Because that's pretty young to kind of know that this is something that I'm interested in. And it's funny because my daughter Molly, who's 18, she's looking at college this year, and she said to me, "I think I want to get my real estate license." And of course, I'm flattered because I'm like, wow, she wants to follow my footsteps.
Yeah.
And I think it's more that she thinks she can make some decent money kind of early on if she's licensed. So, I love that she's kind of already thinking in that vein, but what was it that kind of at such a young age got you even curious about real estate?
Yeah. I mean, I was always entrepreneurial, I wanted to get a job when I was really young. I was like 12 years old. I'm like, Mom, can I go like work at the Jewel Osco or something like that? Like,
you're like a dream kid.
As early as I could. And she goes, you have plenty of time to work when you get older. So I started my own businesses, and I always had something. I was like cutting lawns. I had an online business selling clothes on eBay when I was in high school. And when I went to college, I just kind of followed what that new trend was. And that new trend was at the time flipping and rehabbing. I thought, you know what, if I do this now at this age, maybe I could retire early, like really, really early. Little did I know that wasn't the path, especially with the financial crisis. But what I really loved about real estate was sky was the limit, not just from a money perspective, but I think like from a lifestyle perspective, from the concept of being able to really kind of make your own hours, and every day was not the same.
Yeah.
So that's like what really, I think, attracted me to it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of friends graduating with degrees in finance and other business degrees, and they were going to work for a bank 60 hours a week, sitting at a desk. And to me, that was just boring. That was prison.
So it's interesting to me. So you've never really had, I mean, I would think you actually have the most structure now in your job in some way than when you did early on.
100%. I mean, when I became a managing broker here 5 years ago, that was my first ever W-2 job. Everything else, I was always self-employed.
Yeah.
So it was my first time being an actual technical employee.
Did you ever blow a rehab or like lose money on an investment early on? Or
Yeah. So the first few went well. And that was actually the biggest issue, because when the first few go well and you're 18 and 19 and you have an ego, you think the sky's the limit and you can do anything. So bit off more than I can chew. And back then, anybody could get money for anything, right? So I was able to get a loan, no problem, for multiple properties. I was able to get down payment money from outside investors. I started like this small fund, and then the market crashed. So I lost a lot, and I'm not ashamed to say it, because there was a lot of properties I was involved in everything from Oak Park to the north side of Chicago to the south side that basically went belly up during the financial crisis. But it was a humbling experience. It really was, and I'm glad I went through it at that time, because I think I learned a lot about myself and a lot about my character. And I would not be where I'm at today if I did not go through those issues.
Well, I love hearing this, and kind of, I don't love that, you went through some of that hard stuff, but I think the reality is we all do at some point.
Exactly.
Personally and professionally. And I think how fortunate that you kind of really got to cut your teeth on some of those challenges at such a young age. But I think it also is probably one of the reasons that for so many of us at don't even realize why you can be so relatable when it comes to helping agents figure out, their business and kind of to get through some of the struggle and having to hustle, right?
Yeah.
Because I think, you started there, but then you moved into more clear brokerage. You were an agent, but you also worked for a large team and really ran the operations side of that team. So really kind of got to see, all sides of how to motivate agents at all different levels. So, I always joke that while you probably still look 18 to many, you have done a lot in your, 20 years of real estate, right?
And 20 years in real estate.
Yeah.
And I think, each experience I've learned something new, and I've learned how to kind of put all those experiences together to be able to relate better to an agent, but able to relate on truly an empathetic way, right? To really understand where they're coming from. And I think in sales and training and in leadership, that's probably the most important thing, but also the hardest thing for somebody to be able to do.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about 2026.
Yeah.
We kind of talked off camera or off mic about Mike Simonson, who's the chief economist at Compass. He actually just put together this really cool this economic forecast for 2026, and he's not the only one, but there's a lot of people who are really talking about kind of this new era of real estate, that in 2026 we're kind of seeing this recorrection or sort of this new evolution after we're far enough past COVID, right? Kind of that that's in our rear view. But a lot of the things that a lot of these hurdles that we've had in the last few years that I think a lot of the talk is this year kind of is going to set a new trend in how we're looking at real estate. And so I kind of want your take on that.
Yeah. One, I thought it was an excellent piece. I mean, really detailed. So we can, go into the stats for forever. But I think if we look at the state of where we're currently at, we really are through a lot, and, interest rates have stabilized, right? And if we go back a few years ago, there was always that talk of, well, when rates come down, we are finally in the new normal, and the market and everyone has pretty much, accepted that. We went through the NAR changes, right? And as much as that maybe didn't impact the consumer in a large way, it did, because it impacted our industry and the way that we were maybe hesitant to interact with consumers at that point in time.
Right.
And, the other thing too is that because interest rates have stabilized, I think we're finally at a point to where people are no longer saying, I'm going to wait for rates to come down. they're moving on with their lives, right? They have these life changes that have happened, and those life changes are more important than holding on to their 3% interest rate. So it doesn't mean that we're going to see a whole flood of inventory, but it means that I think we're finally getting to a point to where agents are able to look at their business in a holistic way and really understand what's probably to come in the next 12 months, next 18 months, and really start strategically planning for it versus thinking, oh my goodness, what new changes are going to happen? And I'm going to have to go ahead and fight off and be reactive. We can now be proactive.
Yeah. And I think, we've always talked in the past too about this idea for agents to kind of market proof their business.
Yeah.
Because the reality is there are going to be market ebb and flows. There's going to be things that are happening that are really sort of outside of our control, right? But there are a lot of fundamentals that really can kind of stay the same for an agent. And, I think those agents that have really been kind of practicing that through the last 5 years are, in a really good position. But I also think, over the last 5 years, and I think in any business or any industry, there's always change and there's always growth. And I think what I've noticed so much about our agents here at, and I think it has a lot to do with, leadership, but our focus on really training and developing our agents is you have to always be learning your craft because it's going to change, because people evolve, the consumer evolves, right? We're kind of hitting into the millennial world and, Gen Z, it's all changing. So, I think you kind of have to always sort of be growing. One of the things that I thought was interesting in that forecast was, and I want your take on it, is Mike talked a little bit about, all of the different dynamics at play. Yes, inventory, we're going to see maybe that we're going to be able to free some of that up in different pockets, right? You look at California, Florida, they're very different than here in Illinois. So it is still a micro market game. But he also talked about how income or salaries were going to start increasing. And for the first time ever, that was going to play an impact. So I was just curious of, what you thought of that.
Yeah, it's an interesting stat. And I also just heard Lawrence Yoon, who is the chief economist for NAR, mention that same exact stat that salaries are actually increasing above home prices, above the increase in home prices. And we really have not seen that in quite some time. So when we think about housing affordability, that plays a large role. And the other thing that he mentioned too was really looking at the amount of equity that homeowners currently have. And I think that's a massive thing that a lot of the population doesn't really think about. So if we go back, let's say 10 years ago, the average home had around 30% equity. And right now it's hovering just over 50%, around 53% equity. So that's huge. And what that also means too is that if you are sitting on, let's say, a lower interest rate, and you were before thinking, all right, do I really want to move up to a 6% interest rate or 6.5%? Well, because of the amount of equity you now have in your home, you're not maybe taking out that large of a loan. So the impact to your finances because of that higher rate is less. So, and that's what's going to help really free up some of this inventory going forward, really across the board, kind of regardless of what market you're really in.
Yeah, because, when you take a look at it, if somebody got a loan, let's say 6 years ago, and it was at 3%, or they financed it into that, and, they were having to pay off $600,000, right? Well, over the last 6 years, they've been paying down that principal amount. So when you are going and getting a higher rate, one of the loan officers I talked to said, they'll go and refinance, but now the loan is only going to be $450 or $500, whatever the number might be. So when you re-amortize that over 30 years, they're paying sometimes the same with a higher rate, right? But what I love about that is these types of things allow the opportunity for agents to reach out and have conversations with those clients, right?
Completely, because a lot of times the clients are simply they're not thinking about it, and it's not that they don't necessarily know, they haven't taken the time to actually look at it. It's just not what's top of mind for them. So it's our job as agents to go ahead and do that and have that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is they don't think about it. I've been at cocktail parties where somebody's like, we haven't refinanced for 6 years. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that's like a 1.5%, back in the day, it was like, that's a 1.5% drop.
Yeah.
You need to talk to somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if this is the beginning of a new chapter for housing, what do you think agents should be doing right now to take advantage of it?
So I think, right now, agents, in my opinion, need to be closer to their clients than really ever before. And we can talk about all the fundamentals that they really should be doing from a marketing perspective or from maybe a business efficiency perspective. But I think the one thing we realize, as we were just talking right there, is the fact that the clients are all in a very different position. So you could have two homes on the same block, and you can have one person sitting with a lot of equity with a 3% mortgage, and then you can have somebody else in the same exact home that might be paying almost double in their mortgage because they're at 7%. They have less equity because they bought at a higher price point. And the way that you communicate with those clients, the way that you reach out, the way that you provide value is very, very different. So in order to be impactful, I think it's up to the agents to really, truly understand where each client is at in their stage of life, really where each client is at and what they need for finances and stuff along those lines, and be able to find unique ways to go ahead and provide value that meets that client exactly where they're at that point in time in their life cycle and what they're looking to truly do.
Yeah, I love that. I also think that there's right now the housing message is confusing to the consumer from the outside looking
Very
in.
much,
You know, like when I talk to my family or a friend that, you know, isn't as close to it as us. And I actually think that that provides a ton of opportunity because when it's confusing, there's questions and they want to find out, how do I get clarity? And I think, you know, they want to look at, you know, who that trusted advisor is. So, you know, I think it's a great opportunity for conversations, right? And it isn't just whether they're going to buy or sell, but it is, you know, have you thought about refinancing? You know, what conversations have you had? Because it's, you know, our job to help them with the asset that they have. And at some point when they're ready to move it along or trade it out for something else, we want to be there. But it's all that in between and all those other conversations that lead to other stuff.
No, completely. I think like right now, clients, consumers, they have access to more information than ever before. And because of that, they are more overwhelmed. So it's up to us to kind of like break through all that, provide some clarity. And when you do that, number one, you're winning that client for life, which is great. But you're also inspiring confidence in that client, in that friend or family member to want to refer you to somebody else who is looking to make a move now. So nurturing your database and nurturing those people and providing them with great value, it's not just about capturing that business. It's about giving that person the confidence to say, hey, you have to call Amy. She's a rock star and she's going to help you out with what you need.
Yeah, 100%. So I want to talk about the fact that you just recently stepped into a new role, one that I am fiercely familiar with, taking on EVP of Culture and Agent Development here at App Properties. And I know when I had the opportunity to be in that spot, it was a ton of fun. And I can't think of a better person to come in and continue it on. Give us a preview. What's going to be on tap this year for our agents here at App Properties?
Yes, so we have a lot of great stuff that I'm really, really excited about. Just like I was saying before about how our agents have to meet the clients where they're at, that's what we're going to be doing for our agents when it comes to training. And I think that's hugely impactful because a $5 million producer, $20 million producer, maybe a $50 million team lead, while they might be operating in the same market, their businesses are very different. And in order for them to be able to move the needle in their business, to be able to hit the next level, or even simply just refine processes, they need training and they need coaching that is specific to them and meets them where they are at. So we are rolling out 4 different training programs for different production levels this year. And while the overarching topics might be the same, we're going to be tailoring them specifically for those production levels.
So if I'm an agent and I'm listening to this and it's like, wow, okay, that's exciting. So I'm going to have something that's going to meet me where I'm at. I'm $7 million, did $7 million in transactions last year. And, my goal is to kind of hit over 10. Tell me, what are some of the specific things, not necessarily the track or a group that I'm in, but what are some of the things that I'm going to be able to get? Is it going to be an opportunity to network with peers? Am I going to hear from people who are where I'm wanting to go? Like, what are some of the specifics that I can get excited about as an agent?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
We'll be doing all of that. One of the things that we really are excited about is really having agents learn from agents, right? So taking somebody, to use your example, that might be at $7 million and bring somebody in that just won their watch the year before and hit 15 million, and allowing them to show their roadmap and their business plan to how they were able to go ahead and get there. Hugely impactful, because now they're not just hearing it from us or from a managing broker, they are hearing it directly from a peer. Prospecting. prospecting is the lifeblood of any agent's business, but prospecting is different. It's different for somebody who is a $7 million producer versus a 50. And it's also different for somebody who might be new to the city versus somebody who has deep roots here. So really being able to walk them through different ways to prospect, not just for their production level, but for where they currently are maybe at in their life cycle or their database cycle is something that we're going to be implementing really across the board. And giving them ways to take the word prospecting, which I know for some sounds like a little bit scary and daunting, and making it fun and making it actually fit their personality. So it becomes a habit and it doesn't feel like they're cold calling or doing any of that BS, but they're truly, living the ad way and deepening relationships with people and networking. We really want to make sure that we take these groups and we have agents not only be virtual, but to be able to virtually network and to meet in person networking and kind of get back to the pre-COVID days of getting people together, getting people talking. And when you do that, it's a cool thing because you'll find that naturally they form these bonds and they start holding each other accountable like on a natural level, which is really great.
Well, I know you and I both have seen this over the years from some of the other programming that we've done when we've done the Road to Rolex, which is now more like the Track to Timeless, right? Where after they hit that 10 million mark, but there are groups that are still together, groups of 5 that have been holding each other accountable for like 4 years. And, it becomes an accountability piece, but it becomes a kinship. It's a bouncing ideas. Sometimes I've seen groups where they all commit to doing the same marketing plan in their region. So it's really special when you start seeing some of those relationships blossom.
Exactly. And real estate's a lonely business at the end of the day. As much as we are with clients all the time and out in the public, it is a lonely business because you are your own CEO, right? So getting those people together and having that form of accountability, that form of culture is massive, And I think when they do that too, sometimes those like small groups come up with some of the best ideas and they bring them to us. And they're like, hey, it would be great if we had this as a marketing piece. Or it would be great if you did a training program on this. And we run with it, so it's a cool thing. And,
I know one of the other things you and I and our leadership team, we've been talking quite a bit about is, AI, which is a big buzzword, but we've also been talking a lot about this idea of 85-15, right? In fact, we talked a bit about it yesterday, but where, even us as managing brokers, as leaders who are helping to support agents, we're even looking at the idea of taking 85% of our day or our projects or our tasks or certain things, and how can we put process to it, right? Or how can we use AI? How can we do things to streamline the operational piece and the systems that need to happen so that we can really put some focus on the 15%. And the 15% is some of what you just talked about. It's, connecting with your database, the relationships, digging deeper into those, making things more personal, right? So I think that's a great opportunity for us when we're supporting our agents. I think it's also true when it's comes to them and how they're managing their time in their business. So, it's how do we automate though? And I want to kind of find out what are we going to be doing to help agents figure out how to use AI, how to, what's going to be offered so that they can kind of create this 85-15 concept for their business.
Completely. AI right now, it's such a buzzword and there's a lot of confusion around AI. There's a lot of noise with AI, right? Because if you ask somebody, what are your thoughts on AI, you're going to get different answers kind of across the board. So what we've decided to do is bring in a monthly AI training, monthly AI programming for our agents that's going to start. And it's going to be a monthly all call, giving them great content with additional like follow-up content every single month, because we realize that the world of AI, it's changing and it's changing rapidly. Like right now it's the internet, it's 1995, it's AOL and Netscape. And that's like where we are right now with AI. So we've realized that, and we've realized what our agents really need is they need us to cut through the noise about AI, give them a foundation. What is AI? How does it work? And what are the basics you should be doing in your business right now to make sure you are on the forefront? And then from there, we build the foundation. How can you build great habits with AI? How can you use it in a personal life so it's habitual and you're comfortable comfortable using it. And then you really start using it really intentionally in your business to, like you said, to start streamlining processes, to be able to provide better value to your clients. And I think that's the great thing. It's one thing to say, hey, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to streamline my business so I have more time. But then what do you do with that more time? Is it to provide value? Is it to be able to deepen relationships with your clients? Is it to take some time to brainstorm and to come up with some pretty cool ideas of some new initiatives of marketing or ways that you can relate to your clients? So I'm really excited for this. And what I'm most excited for is I don't know what the AI programming looks like at the end of the year because we know it will change, right? Because the AI market will change.
Yeah.
But what I do know is we have the framework in place and we have the experts in place to provide that to our agents no matter what happens with AI.
And can you dial in a little bit on like, who are we getting to come in and really help? And will this training include, these are the programs that you should use, this is how you should use them? Like, do you have, maybe you're still cultivating that, but.
Yeah, so we're still cultivating some of it, but so we're bringing in someone named Mark Nuderman. And Mark Nuderman has a real estate background as a broker, which is great, and has recently, actually not recently, like over the past years, developed a phenomenal AI company that really focuses on number one, how do we get our agents out there to make sure that when the consumers are searching for them, whether it's a referral and they're just looking up the agent's name, or someone searching, find me the best broker to list my 2-bedroom condo in Lincoln Park worth $500K, who should I reach out to? That's really his business. So he's really going to be making sure that our agents show up in the absolute best light, on top of really keeping our agents up to date as AI really starts to change. And some of that might be, here are the new platforms that you really could be utilizing. Here is now the way that AI is scraping data from the internet, which might be different, let's say in May, than it is right now. And just really making sure that we are giving our agents up-to-date information as it starts to change.
That's great. It's overwhelming. I know it's like, it's the big buzzword for so many agents. And, I'm excited for this then, because it is an opportunity for us to help them with some clarity of how am I going to be integrating this into my business, and how do I make sure it doesn't replace me, which I think some people, tend to worry about.
Exactly. And look, AI, what I'm so excited about it is it's just another tool.
Yeah.
It's a really cool tool. It's an extremely powerful tool. But you have to learn how to use it. If you're not using it in the right way, it's going to fall flat. So our goal is to make sure that our agents are able to use it truly, truly in the right way in their business, but also in their personal life. So they really start building great habits with AI, and they start to see and create opportunities to use AI in their business because they're so ingrained in using it.
Yeah, no, I love that. There's a lot of great stuff in store. So if you are listening out there and you are an Ad Properties Christie's agent, there's a lot of good stuff for us this year.
There is. We're going to have fun. We're going to have fun too.
So, I'm an agent. It's January. I might be raring to go. I might be, stalled in second gear right now. What are the biggest opportunities, or really, I'd rather ask this. If I'm an agent and I say to you, Paul, what are 2 things I can be really doing right now, given 2026, to kind of get my business going? 2 real tactical things.
So I think for tactical things, I think it's going to come down to number one is you pick up your phone and you literally call or text every single person on that phone, and you connect with them, but you connect with them in a way that's either doing one of 2 things. One, providing some sort of value if you have not spoken to them in a while. If you are in flow with them and you constantly speak with them, and maybe they've referred you clients or something along those lines, you reach out to them, you thank them for supporting your business, and you actually ask them for a referral. And you have to get comfortable asking and training. And I've done these referral classes, which a lot of people have liked because I think it kind of pushes the comfort level a little bit. But so many people are looking for ways to grow their database and grow it by mailers or open houses or things like that. And they're ignoring the most important thing, which are the people in their contact list right in front of them.
It's not even the most important thing. It's the fastest
It's the
way
fastest,
to grow your business.
And
it's
the
just
greatest return.
It's just the hardest for a lot of people, right? Because it is getting out of your comfort zone, right?
100%. Pick up the phone, send text messages, make the phone calls, connect with them, provide some sort of value, and actually go ahead and make that ask.
Yeah, yeah. And that is probably an answer that you could have asked somebody in 1996 and it would have been the same. Maybe you couldn't text somebody.
Couldn't text one of them, but
it would be the age old, pick up the phone and, start reaching out to your people.
100%. And here's the other thing too, like, the stat is what? Every person out there knows like 6 realtors, right? Are those other 5 picking up and calling your friend or your past client, right? They're probably not. So you get the opportunity to be the one person that they know that's actually picking up the phone, making that phone call, providing value, and making an ask.
And then one other thing before we get into the fun part of rapid fire, but social media, it's not going away. It's still there. Now it's 2026. And I know I've talked to some agents who are kind of say, well, maybe this is the year where I'm going to kind of double down. Thoughts on social for 2026?
Just get out there and do it. Like so many people
come on by now, right?
It's like so many people overthink it. They get analysis paralysis with it. And the way I look at social, at least for me, is this. It's a chance for your personality to shine and for people to hear you, see your face, and actually have a personal connection with somebody when you don't have enough time to have a personal connection with everybody, right? If you think about the amount of views you might get on a video with the people who know and like you, right? When's another chance that you actually could get them all in the same room and have those conversations or be able to speak to those people? So I would say just get out there and do it. Stop thinking about the way you look, the way you sound, and just do it.
I mean, the one tip that I would give to people regarding social, because our whole team here has been talking about it for Corr Values social, like for mine, but don't worry about people following you. Because the reality is, even if they don't follow you, odds are they may still be seeing you and watching your content and seeing a moment of you. So it's like if you don't post anything, there's nothing for them to take a look at, right? But if you actually put something out into the universe, you don't know who it's going to hit, when it's going to hit them, and what kind of reaction.
Exactly. You have nothing to lose, only something to gain. So that's it.
Yeah. Well, these are all amazing tips. I have to say, I am so excited to see what you and your team, Angela, all of our marketing
we have
strategists,
a phenomenal team,
Irma,
so I'm excited.
The whole crew, Laura. So it's gonna be a great year. I'm really excited.
For sure. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, we can't let you go just yet.
I know.
We've got a little fun part.
Questions.
This is where we really get to know Paul.
Lord.
Yeah. We learned that he used to flip houses back in the day, but let's really find out, because this, my friends, is a rapid fire. Last call with the Martini Man. Yes, that's right.
I do like that title. I do like that.
All right. First question. What is, if you don't know this by now, this gentleman does like martinis, but what is your go-to martini order? And which Chicago restaurant nails it every time?
All right, so go-to martini order is really simple. It is Kettle One straight up, so Kettle One vodka over ice in a shaker, shaken. That's it. No vermouth, nothing like that.
Okay.
With a lemon twist.
Okay.
So very, very simple. For restaurants, I think, so I live basically like on Rush Street, right? Like that's my neighborhood. So the Bellevue is where I'm at all the time, getting my martini there. You'll find me there at least like 3 days a week. And then I'd say like Gibson's is the other spot, right? Because you're getting like just a massive martini. And I think that's a classic. Like you don't need like any small foo-foo martinis or like a small little thimble. No. You need a giant martini full of vodka.
Man, that's amazing. Well, you all heard it here first, meaning that if you need an impromptu coaching session, check out the Bellevue 3 days a week after 5:30 or 6. I love it. All right. So you, my friend, have been on not 3, not 5, but 35 cruises.
35
Just to
cruises.
note, I have never been on a single one. So maybe you can convert me.
One of these days we'll get you on one for sure.
All right. So out of all of them, which one stands out as your all-time favorite?
So that's hard. That's such a hard question. Like anyone who we meet on cruises, they find out how many you've been on. They ask the same thing. Like, what's your favorite? It's tough. So for beauty, like the most beautiful cruise, Alaska.
Okay.
And I've been in the Mediterranean. We've done a lot of different things. Alaska's absolutely gorgeous. There's just nothing like it. But my all-time favorite cruise, I probably would say we did a cruise from Vancouver that went up to Alaska and then crossed the Pacific to Japan.
Oh, wow.
And it was a 15-night cruise. And then we spent some time. 15 nights.
I would think I'd be a little nervous to be in the middle of nowhere on the water for so many days.
We were middle of nowhere without seeing land. Well, we kind of like saw Russia for a bit, but for 8 days crossing.
Wow.
And that was awesome.
Okay.
That was awesome. And Japan was beautiful.
And I'm guessing this isn't like a Carnival cruise?
No, Celebrity is our, Celebrity's our go-to. It's
okay.
a little bit of an older crowd who
No,
likes to drink a lot.
Not a Disney cruise? No,
not
no
a
Disney characters?
Cruise, no.
Okay.
No kids. Yeah, all good.
All right, let me ask this, and I'm hoping that it wasn't you doing this, but what's the craziest thing you've witnessed on a cruise ship?
Oh God, this can get dangerous, and we got to keep this somewhat PC here for this show. I've seen a lot of crazy things. We've had medical emergencies. We have had people overboard, and we've had that issue. On a positive story, though, and this is a story that does stick out in my mind all the time, is there's this one cruise we were on. We were going on a 14-night cruise in the Southern Caribbean, and there was this woman I would see every morning at the pool bar. And I'd be at the pool bar early, like 9 a.m., needed my vodka and grapefruit juice. And there was this older woman, definitely retired, who would show up every morning and she would start her day with a shot of tequila and a Bloody Mary. And then I would see her in the club later on at night, and she would stay until 2 a.m., 3 a.m., until like the club shutting down. And she'd be complaining to me that the DJ wasn't playing like hip enough music. So there was one night I see her at the bar. She ends up asking for 4 Budweisers. She chugs one and then puts the rest in her purse and she leaves. And it's like 2 a.m. I find out the next day, guess how old she was?
I don't know, 65?
94.
94?
Joyce. Her name was Joyce, and she was 94 years old.
Oh my God, doing a tequila shot and a
Tequila
Bloody
shot,
Mary
a Bloody Mary
at
at 9 a.m. and then just
How old did you
pounding
think she
Budweisers.
was?
I mean, she looked like she maybe could have been 70. And I even felt like that was maybe pushing it, but she was
Dang, I
dancing on the
wanna
dance
look that
floor.
good at 94.
So I'm like, this is like my goal is to be her in life.
Joyce?
Joyce.
Joyce.
Gotta
All
be
right.
Joyce.
We got to be Joyce. Oh my God, that's so great. All right. We also know that you love cooking. And I know you had a little cooking rivalry with me, and I went pretty toe-to-toe with you.
That's right, you did.
Who's your dream dinner guest, and what would you cook for them?
Dream dinner guest. So no longer with us, but Anthony Bourdain. So loved watching Anthony Bourdain and was just obsessed with him. And he's actually one of the people that really got me interested in cooking, because the concept was cooking things that were maybe a bit outside your comfort zone with the travels that he would do and stuff like that. What would I cook for him? That's tough. I would have to do something exotic. He loved a lot of food from Africa and stuff like that. So I would definitely do something with a lot of flavor and a lot of spice.
Fun. Yeah, he was great. If you had your own reality show, what would it be called?
It's something around liquor, I'm assuming, but I'm probably gonna have to go with like Last Call. You started with that, like Last Call at the Martini Man. I'm like, that actually sounds pretty good. Yeah. Maybe that could be like you had coffee with Amy and Kevin. I could actually roll
I feel
that
like
out.
I need to have a shot ski here today for you.
That's what we should. Yeah, that's what we should have had. At least like a martini or something here. I mean, it's 1:00, right? So
way past. Yes. You have a day to yourself in Chicago. How do you spend it?
I'll take you through my Saturday morning. Okay. That in the summertime is what I almost do almost every Saturday morning. Up on the lake early to go for a walk on the lake, maybe a slight jog. So cup of coffee, go on the lake, finish the coffee, maybe a slight jog. Get to Lincoln Park Zoo at 8 a.m. right when they open. Right when they open. There's like nobody there. It's fantastic. And it's feeding time for all the animals. So like all the animals are out. So my routine is usually I see the penguins, because I love penguins. Polar bear, go back to the lions, and then I walk through the zoo to the farmer's market in Lincoln Park and grab some stuff, and then end up for brunch on Rush Street, typically at the Bellevue.
The Bellevue, right.
At around 11 a.m.
Okay.
I won't say what time I start drinking my martinis, but it might be close to that. That's my day, is that. And the cool thing is when you are on the lakefront at that time on a Saturday and you're at the zoo and you're at the farmer's market, it's all locals. It's all neighborhood people.
Yeah.
So
I love early morning if you can do it too, because it's so quiet.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. All right, I'm with you. The next Saturday in the summer.
There you go.
All right, last one. What's
Okay.
something people might be surprised to learn about you?
Okay. We can go a lot of different directions for this.
Keep it PG.
Yeah, right. I'm going to go with one that I've talked about a couple of times, but really not too much. And as much as I was entrepreneurial in high school and even before that, the one thing that I used to want to become, and I grew up with this idea of this was going to be my career, was a professional bowler.
A professional bowler?
A professional bowler.
Do you have your own bowling ball?
Yeah, I used to have a lot. Like I
cool.
bowled in tournaments, and I grew up. I mean, my dad had me at like 3 years old on the lanes, and as a kid, I was probably bowling 5-6 days a week.
Wow.
5-6 games a day, and that is what I was going to do. And then I quickly realized that the money is actually not that great in being a professional bowler. Like even number 1, number 2, it's like. Unlike golf or something like that, where you're making millions upon millions, not so much in the bowling realm.
Yeah.
But I would say that was the one thing that I was very confident in myself being able to do. I was really good at, and I haven't bowled in a while, but I enjoyed that. So it's something that a lot of people, when I say that, they go, "Wait, what? You grew up in a bowling alley?" Yeah, pretty much.
I love it. Maybe that became your love. Did you learn about martinis early then?
There was some, yeah, that's right. There was drinking, and a lot of smoking back then too. When you could smoke in the bowling alleys, come home reeking of smoke at like 7 years old.
For sure. Yeah. Oh my God, so great. Makes me think of that movie Kingpin.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
That's a good one.
Yep. That actually was a really good movie.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, I love that we just learned a little something about our Paul Blackburn that we didn't know before.
Look at that.
Yeah. Well, Paul, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a blast.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited for 2026. We got a lot of work to do.
We have a lot of work to do, but you know what? It's going to be impactful. It's going to be fun. And I think we're going to look back at the end of the year and think, wow, that was a good year.
Yeah. While, of course, cheersing with a martini.
And cheersing, there we go. Cheers and martini. Yeah, we'll be doing that.
Oh my God. So great. Thank you, Paul. On that note, thank you everyone for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time on Corr Values.